Pain and joy ain't enemies, they're twins. And the moment you understand this, everything about how you experience reality is about to shift. Most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid pain and chase pleasure, not realizing they're fighting against one of the fundamental laws that governs this entire universe. They think good and bad, light and dark, love and hate are separate forces battling each other. But what I'm about to show you is going to flip that whole understanding upside down, because the ancient masters knew something that modern society has completely forgotten. Opposites aren't in conflict, they're in collaboration. Listen closely, everything in this universe operates on polarity. Every single thing. Hot and cold aren't separate phenomena, they're different degrees of the same thing, temperature. Here's where most people get trapped. They think they can choose one pole and reject the other. They want love without heartbreak, success without failure, courage without fear, wisdom without confusion. But that's like trying to have a magnet with only one pole. It's physically impossible. The moment you try to cut away the negative pole, you destroy the whole magnet. You don't get pure positivity, you get nothing. Society programs you to believe in this separation because it keeps you chasing external solutions. They tell you to think positive, avoid negative people, choose love over fear. And while that sounds nice, it's actually keeping you unconscious to how energy really works. Fear isn't the opposite of love, it's love concerned about losing what it values. Anger isn't the opposite of peace, it's peace recognizing something is out of alignment. Depression isn't the opposite of joy, it's your system demanding you stop and reevaluate what you're giving your life force to. When you try to bypass these experiences, you're not transcending them, you're fragmenting yourself. You're rejecting parts of your own consciousness that contain essential information about your growth. But here's where it gets powerful. Once you understand polarity, you can start working with it consciously. This is what the alchemists called transmutation, the ability to move energy along the spectrum between poles. You're not trying to eliminate pain, you're learning to transmute it into power. You're not trying to avoid fear, you're using it as fuel for courage. You're not trying to escape darkness, you're composting it into wisdom. Think about it, every master you've ever respected got their mastery through integrating opposites. The strongest people you know became strong by facing weakness. The wisest people you know gained wisdom by making mistakes. The most loving people you know learned love by experiencing heartbreak. This isn't coincidence. This is how consciousness evolves. You can't transcend what you haven't integrated. You can't master what you won't face. You can't become whole by rejecting half of reality. The ancient mystery schools understood this. They didn't teach students to avoid suffering. They taught them to alchemize suffering into gold. They didn't promise easy paths. They showed initiates how to use every experience as material for transformation. So how do you actually apply this? First, you stop labeling experiences as good or bad and start asking, what is this teaching me? What quality is this developing in me? What pole is this pushing me toward, and how can I find the opposite pole within myself? When you're in deep pain, instead of trying to escape it, you ask, how is this expanding my capacity for compassion? How is this breaking me open so joy can pour in deeper? What strength is this building that I couldn't access any other way? When you're experiencing fear, instead of fighting it, you explore, what does this fear care about? What is it trying to protect? How can I honor this protective instinct while still moving toward what calls me? When you're feeling anger, instead of suppressing it, you investigate, what boundary is this showing me? What value is being violated? How can I use this energy to create better alignment? In this way, you can transmute your experiences rather than merely endure them. By integrating these reflections into your life, you cultivate resilience and growth. Ultimately, this journey leads you to a deeper understanding of yourself and your purpose. This isn't positive thinking, this is conscious navigation of polarity. You're not pretending everything is fine, you're extracting the gold from every experience. Here's what most people miss. The whole polarity game is designed to wake you up to something beyond polarity. Every time you successfully transmute one pole into the other, you glimpse the consciousness that contains both poles. When you can hold love and heartbreak simultaneously, you touch the awareness that's bigger than both. When you can be with fear and courage at the same time, you access the space that witnesses both without being defined by either. This is what the mystics called the middle path, not avoiding extremes, but finding the still point that contains all movement, the eye of the hurricane that remains calm while chaos swirls around it. But you can't bypass your way there. You can't transcend polarity by rejecting half of it. You have to dance with both poles so completely that you discover the dancer behind the dance. Every painful experience is an invitation to find the joy that's deeper than circumstances. Every moment of confusion is a doorway to wisdom that doesn't depend on having all the answers. Every encounter with limitation is an opportunity to discover the freedom that exists regardless of conditions. The real masters don't live in permanent bliss, they live in conscious relationship with the full spectrum of human experience. They don't avoid suffering. They've learned to suffer consciously, to let it sculpt them into more refined expressions of consciousness. They understand that trying to stay positive all the time is just spiritual materialism, another way the ego tries to control experience instead of surrendering to the intelligence of life. Because life knows what it's doing. Every pole you experience is developing capacities you need for your evolution. Every opposite you encounter is showing you a part of yourself you haven't integrated yet. The goal isn't to transcend the game of opposites, it's to play it consciously. To stop being a victim of polarity and start being an artist of transmutation. Duality isn't your enemy, it's your curriculum. Every opposite is an invitation to discover the wholeness that contains both poles. Stop running from one end of the spectrum and start dancing between them. Stop trying to escape the game and start mastering the rules. Drop balance emoji in the comments if you've ever flipped pain into power, transformed fear into fuel, or alchemized any experience from one pole to its opposite. Let's see how many conscious alchemists are ready to stop fighting reality and start transmuting it.